Okay, this is example number 2, still on page 200. And this is the same type of problem, sorta, except for instead of giving you John's time and Ellen's time, and then we solve for the together time, they're going to give us John's time and how much time it takes them to do this project together, and we have to solve for how long Ellen would take to do the project all by herself. So I'm going to read the problem. John can paint a room in 5 hours. If he and Ellen together can paint it in 2 hours, how long would it take Ellen to paint the room alone? Okay, so we know that John takes him 5 hours to paint a room. We have no idea how long it takes Ellen to paint it all by herself, so we'll just say it's X. And together they can paint it in 2 hours. So put together, it takes them 2 hours. So how long does it take her to paint a room all by herself? Well, once again, we're just going to make this into a fraction. If he can paint a whole room in 5 hours, then in 1 hour he can paint a fifth of that room. So we're just going to take that and put it in the denominator under 1. Again, we don't know how long Ellen takes, but if she were in 1 hour, she could paint it in 1 over X hours. We're just going to take this, move it to the denominator, put it under a 1. And together, if they can paint a whole room in 2 hours, then they can paint in 1 hour half a room. Okay? So now we're just going to add these together. John plus Ellen equals how much together? So I'm going to write 1/5 plus 1 over X equals 1/2. And then once again, I have to find the least common multiple between 5x and 2. And the least common multiple between 5 and 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. And then, of course, we just add that x in there because he's totally different. So everybody gets multiplied by 10x. And I'm just going to multiply 10x by the numerator. 10x times 1 is 10x over 5. Just pull down that denominator. Plus 10x over x. 10x times 1 is 10x. Over x is x. Equals 10x times 1, 10x over 2. Now I can just go ahead and divide, just start crossing out. 10 over 5, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I get 2, and I just pull the x down. And then there's no other coefficient to divide with, but there is x over x. And x over x, everybody knows, is 1, so those go away. So I'm left with 10 equals 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then I just have that x left over. Now I'm just going to use good old algebra to solve for x. So I'm going to get these x's on the same side and then the constants on the other side so I can solve for x. So I'm going to move this 2x over here to be with the 5x. So I'm going to subtract 2x because right now he's a positive. That gives me 0 and that gives me 3x. So I end up with 10 equals 3x. And then to solve for x, because 3 is multiplying by x, I'm just going to divide by 3 on both sides to get x equals 10/3, or if I make it into a mixed number, 3 into 10 goes 3 times. Then I have a remainder of 1 because 3 times 3 is 9. And then I keep the 3 in the denominator. So 3 1/3 hours is how long? It's not how long it takes them to do together. That x is how long it takes Ellen to paint a room all by herself. Good job, Ellen. You're way faster than John. I don't know why in all these examples the females are faster than the males, but that's how it's been going so far. So you got to remember what it is you're solving for. It takes Ellen 3.5 hours to paint the room by herself.